Hello, it's me, Nancy, today. First, I think I'm going to tell you about my weight loss. You may have noticed my cheeks are not puffy, and my skirt's like folded over 4 inches, and my hips are flat. I can't believe it. I've never had flat hips. You know, when you're a teenager and you put on a bathing suit, and the size of your hips really matters when you're a teenager, when you're 13 and 14 and 15 and 16 and maybe 17. Anyway, they always bulge. But you know what? In my search to get rid of the pain, I have given up gluten and wheat. So you know, gluten-free stuff isn't really that good for you. Tapioca starch, potato starch, and rice starch are some of the usual ones. Anyway, rice makes my knees hurt, so I shouldn't have that anyway. But giving up wheat. Now, in wheat, I probably said this before, but in wheat, since the mutations, it's not genetically modified. Wheat is not genetically modified. It has 10 times the amount on a stem as it had at one time, you know. Now it's so puffy. But that was because of the mutations. So they did not genetically modify. They didn't insert a gene into it. They instead crossed it with weeds, with poisonous plants, with other grains. They crossed it with everything. And it was kind of like the Nazis. They just tried every possible thing. And when they found this new one, instead of like 23 chromosomes, it's now got 43. So it's a lot different structure than what the Lord gave us originally. But there's also in the wheat, there is this, I can't remember the word, but anyway, it makes you want to eat. Makes you crave. Do you ever crave food when you have something, bread? Also, the bread, the wheat binds with the opiate receptors in your brain, and you become addicted. And so you are as addicted to bread as you can be to painkillers or any other thing that you can be addicted to. If I say, stop eating wheat, what's your first reaction? What? What would I eat? That's what I always used to think. I would go, anyway, I did not want to give up my bread and my cookies and my brownies and, you know, all those things. And I would eat one and I would eat 100. And I became 237 pounds. Anyway, and I couldn't stop eating. If I had one, I had to have the whole pack. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. But if it has, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, there's this thing in wheat that does that. And when you stop eating wheat, you go through withdrawal. So you have to have other things at the ready. You have to go to the store and buy whatever you need to buy. Gluten-free bread if you have to. It's not very good for you, but it's not got gluten in it, and it'll help you get over the addiction. So you can still have your chewy bread without having that thing that makes you crave. So I don't have celiac. There's no big reaction in my body from it, but I get pain. And my doctor, I went to a pain doctor for a while, and he was giving me all these needles in my back and in my neck and in my shoulders, and I don't know, 16 needles or something. Anyway, they didn't do anything except make me hurt where he stabbed me. It was really awful. It was awful. Anyway, I'm not going back. Because he told me that I had so much inflammation that instead of numbing it, which is this, it's like Novocaine, lidocaine, instead of numbing and blocking the nerves, it was a nerve block, I guess. Instead of making it numb, instead, nothing happened except, you know, pain from the injection. And he said that was because I had so much inflammation in my body that the painkiller wouldn't take effect. Now, cast your mind back to the time that you've had a toothache and the doctor couldn't do anything with the tooth until he got rid of the inflammation, right? Always put you on medication before you can have a root canal. That's because the painkillers don't work if you have inflammation. And so this was a huge eye-opening thing, right? I knew I had inflammation, but I had given up sugar already. I gave up sugar a couple years ago, but I would cheat. Now and then I would have Tim Horton muffins, and so I wasn't totally sugar-free. There was also this protein powder which had sugar in it, and So those two things, I didn't have them often, but when I did, you know, I was having sugar. Anyway, and so because of the sugar, there's inflammation when you have sugar. And it attacks your joints. And inflammation is what arthritis is. Arthritis is just concentrated inflammation. That's why it's hot. See, inflammation is the war going on between the white blood cells and the problem. I think I got that right. I don't think I know everything. I just think I know a few things. Anyway, so I stopped eating wheat, and you know what happened? My desire to eat stopped. And so I could just have things like lentils with carrots and onions in them. They take 15 minutes to cook. Did you know that? You take red lentils, you put them in twice as much water, or 3 times as much. Twice as much is probably enough.